Hello! So, today we are talking about writing an objective summary. Constantly, we've talked about summarizing. Write a summary of this. Oh, summarize this chapter. But we very rarely actually break it down into all of its parts. So, today's objective. I can write an objective summary. What is a summary? The board's coming back, folks. So, our summary is a brief account of a text's main ideas. Keyword there is brief. This is not the time to start putting in every single detail, okay? You don't want to start explaining the tiny things that happen. You want to pull out the main idea. Oh, I got hair in my mouth. You're going to pull out the main idea and then just tell us about that. So there's two parts to this. We have summary and then we have objective. What does objective mean? It is without your own opinion. So when you are summarizing something, it's not the time to give your opinion. So if I ask you, did you go see this movie? Did you like it? That's when you would want to give your opinion. But if I'm asking you, summarize the movie for me, I don't care about your opinion. It's the same with texts. If I tell you to review the chapter, you could be like, wow, I thought this was super boring. Or, oh my gosh, I thought this was amazing. This is what happened. But that's not what we're talking about when it comes to objective summaries. We just want you to say, this is what happened. None of your opinions. Nobody cares about those. So, a good summary is, does it work? Concise, meaning short, meaning brief, which we talked about. Complete, hitting all those main details, and obviously, it's going to be objective. Okay? Concise, complete, objective. So a lot of times when we're learning stuff, it's almost easier to learn what it is by what it is not. So we have 3 things that a good summary is not. Number 1, it is not copied directly from the text. You pulling out a bunch of different lines of the text does not show me that you're actually able to summarize. It shows me you're great at copying what other people have written. But you don't have to actually know, understand, or have read what you were assigned or what you were given or what you were looking at to be able to summarize it. Okay? You have to actually read and then pull out those details. If you start just writing down whatever the author originally wrote, you're just plagiarizing and you're not actually summarizing anything. All right. It also is not a lengthy description of every detail and event. I do not need to know every single name of whatever the character's friends are, and what every single one of their parents does, or whatever. It is not you telling me that in Mississippi Trial, Hiram is friends with this person, and this person, and this person, and Naomi does this, and this little thing happens, and this little thing happens. It's you summarizing the full text and explaining the main events and the main idea. Okay? And finally, because apparently we haven't reiterated it enough, it is not your own opinion, reaction, or interpretation. Again, when I ask you to summarize, when anyone ever asks you to summarize, it's not like, let me tell you what I think. It's not what they're asking for. Don't make that mistake. People aren't going to like talking to you if they ask you to summarize something and you start giving them your own opinion. It's not great. All right, so we are going to practice, I believe. Oh my gosh, where's my little guy? So, if you look on your paper, it gives you the example of a good summary. We're going to go through it together real quick so that we all know exactly what a good summary sounds like. So I know we've read this story in my class, and I think you actually read it in Miss Hall's class as well. So it is the story Charles by Shirley Jackson. In the short story Charles by Shirley Jackson, a young boy named Laurie is off to kindergarten for his first day of school. When he comes back from his first day, he brings plenty of stories about a boy named Charles. Among these are some about him getting fresh with the teacher, hitting his classmates and the teacher, and refusing to write with a red crayon when asked. Every day, he comes home with new information about Charles. The parents become very interested in this boy and want to meet the parents, especially after the latest stories about Charles being such a good boy. In an attempt, Laurie's mother goes to the PTA meeting. When she arrives and talks to the teacher, she asks about Charles. The teacher is super confused and says, there's no boy named Charles, but after a really difficult start to the year, Laurie is making some positive improvement. Laurie's mother realizes that Charles does not exist, but in fact is her own son, Laurie, who has been misbehaving. Laurie is Charles. So it didn't take us through every single event in the order that it happened, but it summarized it. It's like, all right, so this kid's talking about this other kid saying he does this, this, and this. The mom gets curious. She goes and finds out, and then bam, she has this realization. Okay? We condensed like a 5-page story into this small summary where it just points out those main ideas. All right? So now, if you flip it over, you will see that there is a passage about ninjas. Follow along while I read it. We're going to figure out the main idea, then you are going to write your own summary. So, ninjas used many different tools and weapons to get the job done. Throwing stars, bows, acid-spurting tubes, to name a few. But the favorite weapon of most ninjas was probably the katana. The katana is a long curved sword with a single blade and a long grip to accommodate 2 hands. The sword is often carried in a sheath or scabbard on the ninja's back. Though the sword was primarily used for fighting and killing, the scabbard served a number of purposes too. The ninja could remove the sword, angle the scabbard against the wall, and use it to climb to a higher place. Or, while stealthily negotiating their way through a dark place, such as an enemy's residence at night, ninjas may have used the scabbard as a walking stick, feeling or probing their way around objects so as not to knock anything and alert the enemy. Perhaps the ninja's most sinister use of the scabbard was to put a mixture of red pepper, dirt, and iron shavings at the top of the scabbard so that when the ninja drew his sword, his opponent would be blinded. I wonder what a ninja could have done with that Swiss Army knife. So, our main idea in this story is that ninjas used katanas in scabbards. Okay? So that's the main idea. This is essentially telling us about that one topic. So now that we've figured out the main topic, go ahead and write your own summary. When you finish this, you are moving on to task 7. Please make sure you are keeping up in the book. You have chapter questions for 11 through 15 that are due on Friday. Many of you never even turned in the ones up to 10. It's not going to be a great grade for you if you don't get those in. So, focus on what you need to do. Be present, be going through the checklist, and don't be wasting your time, okay? All right. Bye.